During his lifetime, Aril Edvardsen was the most famous Scandinavian evangelist in the whole world. Today, I interview Harald Mydland, who wrote a book about the history of this great evangelist. On today's episode of the Evangelism Podcast, you will discover the exciting faith and visionary thinking of one of God's greatest heroes.
Jesus said, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel.
Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved."
Welcome to the Evangelism Podcast with Dr. Daniel King, where Daniel interviews full-time evangelists, pastors, missionaries, and normal everyday Christians to discover how they share their faith, their powerful testimonies, and amazing stories that will inspire you to reach people with the good news. And now, here's your host, missionary and evangelist, Daniel King.
Welcome to the Evangelism Podcast. I'm Daniel King, and I'm excited about telling people about Jesus. Today I have a very special guest with me, Harald Mydland. Thank you for being on the Evangelism Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Now, we are sitting in a very historic place in the nation of Norway. It's a very small village, and help me with, what is the name of the village here?
Kvinesdal.
Okay, and we are in the headquarters of a ministry of one of the greatest European evangelists who has ever lived. And so tell me about how this place got started and what God has done.
His name was Aril Edvardsen, and he was born in this place. He grew up as an ordinary kid, a young boy, and in the age of 17 years old, he received Jesus, and he was saved in a very powerful way, because he was supposed to go to see a movie at cinema, but a guy convinced him to come to a meeting in a local church. He came with him and was listening to the message. I think he was called by God. Listened to the message, and when they gave the altar call, he came forward. He gave his life to Jesus. And when he explained afterwards what happened, he said that he felt that God's power hit him in such a powerful way that he understood, if I let this happen to me, I will never be the same. It will be so it was so powerful, it was so life-changing. So he knew very well, I have to make a decision. Will I go for this, or will I stop it to happen? So he surrendered himself to Jesus, and he was born again in a very powerful way. The same evening, his wife were at the local hospital. She has just given birth to the first child, and she was laying in a room. Aril came into the room and said, "Kari, I have given my life to Jesus, and you have to give your life to Jesus as well." And she was totally shocked, but he prayed for her and led her to Jesus the same evening. And then
So the first person he led to Jesus was his own wife.
His wife. And then very soon he started to preach in the local area, and God's power was really over him. He was anointed in a powerful way. He was very bold, so he started to do campaigns in the local area with a tent campaign. He had the tent of revival, put it up many places and went around. And then in 1960, he was 21, 22 years old, came to my place, my church, my home place, just 1 hour from here by car. And he was they called him to be an evangelist, staying in our church for 4 months. And then in March, 26th of March, 1960, in the afternoon, before he was supposed to have a meeting in the evening, he was staying in a room, and God's Holy Spirit came into that room. It was so powerful. He just laid down on the floor, and God started to speak to him and said, I call you to be a world evangelist, to go to the nations, and you're going to do it by supporting and working together with local native people around in the world. very powerful. So the same evening, he decided to start support his first national evangelist in Brazil. And after that...
And so how did he know about the Evangelist of Brazil?
He found a paper, a Christian magazine. So he continued to preach.
Yeah.
He went also to Europe in a pioneer journey to see the mission field in Europe. He came back in 1961. But in 1962, something very special happened. In a dream one night, he was dreaming. And he saw himself in a dream walking up on a mountaintop close to this area. On the other side of the valley, there is a mountaintop. He saw himself walking up on that mountaintop, and he stood there watching. And he saw this area. He saw this valley in his dream. God showed him that valley. It was like a jungle at that time, many trees and bushes, and nobody had thought about using it to anything. So God spoke to him and said, from this place, you're going to put up a mission center, and it will be a mission center to influence the whole world. It will be a place for the people in Scandinavia to come together in unity and to show Jesus Christ as the Savior, but it will be a mission center to all the world from this place.
And so we're talking about the place we're sitting now.
The place we're sitting now.
In English, it's called the Valley of Sharon.
Yes.
How do you say it in Norwegian?
Savonsdal.
Wow. And it's evidence of great faith, because here in this place, there are more seats than there are people in the village.
Exactly.
And so to make a place like this in a small village and to trust that God can fill the place, it shows that Aril was an evangelist who had great faith.
He had, it was not a man's vision. It was not Aril's vision. It was God's vision given to him, and he really took it and made it his own. So the next day he went up to the mountain and saw the place, and he saw the place, and then he went to the two brothers owned the place. So he went to them and said, I want to buy your land. And he paid $3,000 at that time, a huge amount of money. He had no money. He had no money. He said, I will pay it. I will give it. I will buy it. And the money will come. So he started to give out a magazine and write about it in a magazine, and people started to give. And they also came as volunteers, because they made a first hall in the beginning. And they used it for many years, a small hall in the beginning. And the first summer convention took place in 1963. Not in this place, because it was not prepared, it was not fulfilled. But 1963, there was a summer convention for the first time in the town, just over here. But from 1964, every year, 1 week, every year, there has been an annual conference, and you gather many people from many nations. But step by step, Aril, as written in my book, this is the story about.
Yeah, you have really become the historian.
Yeah, this is the story about from year. You can follow the work and the waves in a way, year by year. Everything what happened, the main lines, and also a summary for each year. What happened.
Now your book is only in Norwegian.
Yes, I'm sorry.
You must put it in English so that the English-speaking world can hear the story, because I think still this story has the power to inspire people.
It's so inspiring because he has supported thousands after thousands of native workers. He has done crusades. He has done seminars and conferences. They started with radio. Radio Luxembourg. If some people know about Radio Luxembourg, it was very famous radio many years ago. He started to broadcast on Radio Luxembourg evangelical messages. And then step by step he had his own radio work. And then after a while, television. When television came, he saw, in the beginning there was only state television, only one channel, not only all those channels we have today, but in the beginning only one channel. And but God talked to him in Nairobi. in a hotel in Nairobi in some 1970s. God spoke to him, or 80s. God spoke to him and said, very soon the monopoly, do you say monopoly? It will fall, and you will be able to cover the world with the gospel using television. So he started to broadcast, and he prepared and made a studio in this place below in the basement, and they were able to. Our vision was to cover the world with the gospel from this place within 2 seconds. Broadcast from here in 2 seconds all over the world. So he started, and from this place they have been able to influence or impact almost all the world, more than 200 nations. Radio, television, campaigns, native workers, supporting them.
And so at the height of the ministry, how many native workers would they have supported?
They have tens of thousands altogether. I think today they have, I'm not sure because I'm not following it so close today, but they have thousands in many nations.
Wow. And so over the course of the ministry, tens of thousands.
Oh, yeah.
And what does that look like? Is it finding people that have just graduated from Bible school and helping them to go plant a church?
You know, the first thing is they need a calling, they need a passion, they need the calling from God to go out to reach the people in their own country. And then, you know, by that time, Aril got that vision. It was not common in Norway to support native workers. You know, a missionary was a white man crossing their borders and coming to Africa or some places, not using the natives. So he received a lot of opposition, and thus because people didn't believe in him or that kind of ministry. But it has proven itself so many times very effective, and they have reached thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions, and planted so many churches all over the world. Very effective.
Talk to me about what he was like when he was preaching. What was the main message that he preached?
I will call him, he was the Norwegian or the European Billy Graham. Very simple gospel message, simple to understand, but at the same time very deep. But he was able to preach it very simple in a way. Like Jesus, he used parables, and Aril used a very simple language. But he was not formal educated, but he was able to talk with any professor in so many topics, because he read books. He was really clever, and so he had a simple gospel message, very powerful, and you know, he was very clever to preach it, and also at the seminars. This is the second part of his ministry, the seminars. I follow him many nations. I listened to him, and he gave his sermons and teaching at the seminars. And he was not only given a seminar. He in a way, he gave you his passion. When you sat down and listened to him, you received the teaching, and then also his passion, his power, his anointing at the same time. It was very special. It's not always you can listen to a person and you receive not only his words, but his life, his passion, his everything. Very interesting. So he has been able to influence so many people all over the world, many times, again and again, with seminars, Africa, India, Pakistan.
And so what were some of the countries where they had a great effort in?
In Africa, of course, many places. I was with him to Rwanda. We were in Malawi, many places. So he supported people in Kenya for many years. Kenya is one of the main in Africa, but also in India, in Pakistan, or China. Or nowadays they are in China. They have been in Vietnam. They are all over the Asia, Myanmar or Burma, Bangladesh, many places in Asia and Africa, all over the world.
What were some of the things that he would say to people that would really connect with them? Do you remember a particular story or some of the things that he would say that would really inspire people?
You know, I think the main thing is the simplicity of the gospel, because he was so centered on the cross of Jesus. He had many messages about the four persons close to his cross, Mary and all the four ladies, and they representing the four corners of the world. So he was so close, and he was so concentrated on the cross of Jesus. So he's preaching about Jesus. That was his main. That's the power of the gospel, of course. And he was very centered at the cross of Jesus, preaching Jesus up and down and describing everything. Jesus on the cross, before the cross, all the pain he went through, all the suffering, everything, and he described everything, and he was really painting it for you, so you could follow it. You follow his steps and follow everything. So the cross of Jesus and the center of the gospel. That was Aril.
I heard he had a very unique way of working with Muslims.
Yes.
And building relationships with them. Talk to me about that.
You know, Aril said that we have a common world, a common earth to share. So we can cooperate with any person to make the world a better place for everybody. So he never spoke against any religion. He respected all the religions. He even wrote a book called Bridges to the Kingdom, where he described how you can approach Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, etc. So you have to know the culture. You have to. He said many times, you have to swim in the culture. You have to communicate with them in a nice way. So he had a passion, he had a capacity. He was so able to communicate with so many people. And I was with him several times. He arranged those peace conferences. We were in Pakistan. We had the Taliban people sitting in the conference. The extreme Muslims came to the conference because it was a peace conference. He was talking about peace, working together in unity, respecting each other, etc. And they sat down, all these Taliban people, and many extreme people came. And he did the same in many places, in Africa as well. Call it peace work. So, I was with him in 1998 when we went to Arafat, to Gaza.
To Yasser Arafat, the head of the Palestinian Authority.
We went to his headquarters. We had some meetings in Israel and also in the Palestinian areas, Gaza, Bethlehem. We had a meeting in Bethlehem in the city center, and the mayor gave his life to Jesus.
Wow!
Where he was preaching, and then we went to Gaza, and while we were just walking on this beach, there's a beach in Gaza. Somebody called him from the office of Arafat. Yasser Arafat, and invited us. We were 105 Scandinavian people in buses, and Arafat invited all of us to his office, the famous office. We came there, and Aril and Arafat, they sat together, and Aril spoke, and Arafat said some words. And when we left that office, Arafat, he went to the door, and he took the hands of everybody and shake our hands. I know some of them felt a little bit. It was a little bit tough afterwards. We have shaken the hands of Arafat, but when I saw Arafat, I saw that little. He was in a way trembling, and he didn't look like he was 100% well. So I felt the compassion with him in a way. This is the man who has terrified so many people, if we can say it. I don't know if we can say it on television, but when I saw him, I felt the compassion, felt sorry for him.
And you come with peace.
We came with peace.
In the Prince of Peace.
Yes, in the Prince of Peace, and we greet the people with peace.
And so, Evangelist Aril, he said he never wanted to retire. He wanted to go out with his boots on.
Yes.
And it turned out that that's what happened.
That happened. He went to Africa, and he had a campaign outside Africa. And it was the last campaign, and he was so tired, very tired. And he and his wife were supposed to have some days free off after the campaign to go to Mombasa. But he was so tired, and during the campaign, several times he asked his son, Rune, who is in charge now, to come and take the altar call and take the finish of the meetings because he was so tired. So, but nobody was thinking that he was at the come to the end of his life. But after the campaign on Zanzibar, they went to Kari and Aril went to Mombasa to spend some few days together before they came home. But during that day, the first day they said they made a summary. Where are we now? What happened with our family? And they were talking about all the grandchildren and the grandchildren and everybody, and they did a kind of a summary what I have, of their lives. But that night after that, he suddenly became sick, and Kari understood something is happening. So he died in Mombasa after that last campaign at Zanzibar. So, and Rune was in Africa. Rune, his son, was in Africa. Kari called Rune, and Rune came to that place, and he has talked about that many times, and also at a summer conference this year, he came back to the same things that happened when he came to the place, when he saw his father laying in a terrible place. He saw his father there had died, and his mother stood at his side. And Kari said to Aril, Can you feel what's happening in the air? And Kari said, the calling is here, Rune. The calling is here. So you have to take over. The calling is still here. The calling to go to the world with a mission.
And so the ministry has continued to have a big impact around the world. And so Aril has gone to heaven now. But talk to me about what the ministry continues to do today.
Well, we can see it here today because, the founder, Richard Gunning from Belfast, he founded ACE, Association of Campaign Evangelists, in 2002.
Yeah, I read Richard Gunning's autobiography, and he, from Ireland, came here and learned Norwegian, went to Bible school here, and that was really the start of his ministry, was being influenced by the ministry.
It was the start, and he came as a student at the Bible school. Aril opened the Bible school in 1968, and through all the years, there's so many evangelists and pastors and leaders has attended the Bible school. So Richard Gunning came to the Bible school in the 1980s, and there was a man from Africa, from Kenya, because by that time they sent two people from Kenya. They came here for free to the Bible school, and Peter Karango was one of them. And Peter and Richard became good friends. Richard was able to talk Norwegian and understand Norwegian, so he was the interpreter for Peter when he came in of the teaching in the Bible school. And after they finished the Bible school, they felt the calling, both of them, to go back to Kenya and to establish that Reach the Unreached ministry. And they started that ministry over 25 years ago. Up to today, they have now, by their work they have been doing all these years, they have founded 1,400 churches in Kenya. But it started here at the Bible school, and then something very interesting happened, because I started to work here in 1998, in year 2000, I went to Kenya. I met Peter, I met many other persons. And then I said to Aril when I came home, can we invite Peter and Richard to the next summer convention? And Aril said, yes, you can invite them. And they came here in 2001, and they had they shared a meeting. After the meeting, they asked Aril, can you put your hands on us and bless us? And he did. And after, they went to the room, and then God spoke to them, to Richard, and said, now you're going to expand your ministry. And that was the foundation, that was in a way how ACE became a reality.
Yeah, so we're actually here for an ACE conference. ACE is the Association of Campaign Evangelists. And
it was
many
born in
Scandinavian evangelists are part of it.
Yes.
And yeah, wow.
It was founded. It was founded in the heart of Richard. But it happened here. After a meeting in this hall.
Yeah.
He went to the room, God spoke to him. He started to call some few of us. I was there the first year in 2002 in Belfast, and some other guys also. And from that, it's 21 years now. So now I think this is the biggest conference after 21 years, 50 people from many nations.
Yeah.
And so many have come, and they are not here no today. They come to be influenced and inspired. And
so when you look at the history, going all the way back to when Aril was 17 years old and gave his life to Jesus, for the evangelist today, a young evangelist who wants to go and reach the world, what are some lessons that a young evangelist could learn from his life in ministry?
There's many things, of course, but the main thing is that God can use anybody. It doesn't depend on us, it depends on the calling. If God has called you, He will give you the ability, and He will give you the power, He will give you the message. So we need to be open to receive His calling and say yes to His calling and follow Jesus. Jesus said, follow me. I will make you fishers of men. Live close to Jesus. Read your Bible and open your heart to receive from Him and follow in His footsteps. He can use anybody to change the world. Reinhard Bonnke did many big crusades in Africa, and he's a very famous example for us nowadays. And all of us, of course, Daniel Kolenda and many other awesome people here, also you.
I'm so inspired by his life and ministry, and it's really wonderful to come here and to see the vision. I mean, this is a place where revival has spread around the world. And I think maybe he is one of the greatest evangelists. Even the airline of Norway.
Yes.
I saw a picture. They painted his face on the tail of one of their huge planes.
Yes.
And I think he might be the only evangelist to be honored in that way in history.
In fact, we have two. That's a second, but Aril is there. So it tells about, and when
I mean, what a thing to say that the evangelist was so good that the national airline honors him in such a way.
Yes. When we had the funeral of Aril in this place, the national TV broadcasted live everything
across the whole country.
Yes.
Wow.
They were here.
Well,
so many guests.
If God can use a man from a small village in Norway, He can use anyone.
He can use anyone. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. His life is a testimony. Yes. Simple, very simple person, but it's like Mary, Mother Mary. Why did God choose Mary? Nobody knows. Why did He choose Aril? Nobody knows. But He make us. I will make you fishers of men. So a willing heart, He will make.
What was he like in person when you interacted with him?
He was so informal. When you come home to him, he will be relaxed like that. He was very informal. But he was himself. I think when he talked with presidents and head of states many places, he addressed them like we are sitting here, not as the big man, but he talked to him like a human being. He was so normal. He was so. I don't know how to explain it in English, but I think he moved their hearts. He reached their hearts because he was so a human being, and totally relaxed and very, very, very nice personality. He respected everybody, and he behaved in a very nice way. He could talk to anybody, and they liked him. They liked him, so he became a friend to many people high up in the society, head of states.
Wow.
He was a friend, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing his story. I think we can all be inspired that God can do something great, even from somebody who starts out in even just a small village.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly.
Thank you for being on the Evangelism Podcast.
Okay.
Are you called by God to be an evangelist? Do you want to lead millions of people to Jesus? Do you desire to be trained in the practical side of building a ministry? Then check out the Daniel King School of Evangelism. Learn how to be an effective evangelist from Dr. Daniel King's 20-plus years of experience. Daniel King has done crusades all over the world in over 70 nations and has seen over 2 million people give their lives to Jesus. But it wasn't easy. There was no crusade school, so Daniel traveled the world, learning from and observing top evangelists, noticing how they successfully won souls for Christ. Now, he wants to share decades of knowledge and experience with you. Topics of the Daniel King School of Evangelism include: what is an evangelist? How to be a master soul winner? How to give an altar call? How to organize a crusade? How to raise money for your ministry? And much more. If you want to be an evangelist but don't know where to start, the Daniel King School of Evangelism is for you. Enroll today in the School of Evangelism by going to danielkingministries.com/evangelism.
Thanks so much for listening today. I am excited about telling people about Jesus, and I want to invite you to be a part of helping us to rescue people from hell and take them with us to heaven. There's 2 things you can do to help. First of all, can you go find the Evangelism Podcast on Apple iTunes and leave us a positive review? By giving a review, you will help other people find these valuable resources about sharing our faith. And second, would you become a financial partner with King Ministries? Every single dollar that people give us enables us to lead at least one person to Jesus. And so that means for only $1, you can help start a party in heaven. And so today I want to invite you to become a monthly partner. You can start out for just $1, but if God puts it on your heart to do more, of course you can do more. But please go to kingministries.com and become a monthly partner with us today to help us to lead more people to Jesus. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
For more information about how to share your faith or to financially support our worldwide evangelistic outreaches, visit kingministries.com. Again, that's kingministries.com.